just living in it right
Oh,
now?
I'm trying to keep the grass from dying currently because I stopped the sprinklers for a while.
Why'd you do that?
Because they're always leaking. And I was tired of fixing leaks, so I just turned them off and didn't think about it. But I turned it back on without the leaks. So some brown spots I'm trying to.
You know, they make systems that turn on and off.
Oh, it has automatic.
Would you say it's
turned
automated?
It off. Yes, Paul.
That was so dumb.
But you know what?
We're going to go with it?
We're making the connection. I think we're going to go with it.
We had a great show today
we did.
with Brandt Lanzet. He's the product line manager of rig automation. I think there was another thing in his title, but I can't remember. Automation. Robotics.
Ooh,
That's
how
what
could
it
you
was.
forget? That's the fun one.
Anyway, we were talking about CAPstone.
Yes.
Which is like an add-on already to processes and equipment that we have for like a more holistic automation process.
Bridging that gap.
Right. It's very cool. I think it's interesting to see kind of the iterations that we've made throughout the last several years in automation equipment, software, interconnectivity. He used a different word, I forget what it was.
Interoperability?
Yes, there it is.
I pay attention.
Wow, man, you're good. Anyway, it was a great conversation, and it gave me, he said it just gave me another like shot of like, wow, we're really doing some really cool things. Yeah. We're not being stagnant or kind of just resting. We're always continuing to push that limit.
Excited for the people to hear about it.
Yeah. So enjoy CAPstone with Brandt.
Well, today in the studio we have Brandt. Can you introduce yourself and a little bit of what you do here at NOV?
My name is Brandt Lanzet. I'm the product line manager for Rig Technologies for automation and robotics.
Automation and robotics.
All the fun stuff. All the fun stuff.
You got the cool title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I like that. That's a fun sounding one.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming out. I want to ask spoiler alert, we're going to be talking about CAPstone.
Yes.
But in a minute. First, I kind of wanted to maybe take a few steps back first and kind of establish a little bit about where we're at. So can you talk a little bit about some of the challenges in drilling operations when it comes to digital workflows? So we talk about digital on the show a little bit, but I'm wondering if in your experience.
Yeah, sort of the holy grail of digital workflows is, there's a term we throw around in the industry a lot. It's called interoperability. And today there's a lot of teams working across a lot of different platforms, whether they're planning, logistics, KPIs. They're doing a lot of good work in all these different platforms, but none of them are actually really connected in any way. And so that's sort of the problem that we're trying to solve is you have these engineers who are working in Excel, they're making phone calls, they're having to establish all these extra workflows outside of their existing sort of platforms that they're working in. And it slows down execution, increases the risk because they're having to re-enter a lot of this data. And what we're really trying to do is create, that connection between the office and the rig site environment.
I thought they were already connected.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like, what's the challenge there? Like, why haven't they been able to bridge that gap?
Well, a lot of these platforms were developed in isolation, really. So they have different companies who are working on their specific little product or solution, and not really having any foresight into how that might be used in connection with some of the other different workflows and platforms. So connecting those two is usually meant a lot of custom integrations, custom APIs, a lot of manual uploading, extra steps. So that disconnect is that biggest barrier that we're trying to solve when it comes to this mass adoption of automation, essentially. So, and NOV, we've been guilty of this as well. We have a lot of great workflows, but not a lot of foresight into how that kind of fits into the bigger picture of the end user. And the end user for us, we're really talking about the operators and the drilling engineers who are working in planning and planning these wells and trying to execute these wells. And they're utilizing our automation, which is great, and they're utilizing these other planning systems, which are also great. How do we connect those two and join them?
And so if I'm gonna make an educated guess, would CAPstone fit into there?
Exactly. That's exactly what CAPstone does. So
you're so smart.
Connecting dots always.
So CAPstone is the connected automation platform.
I think this is good because I thought Novos did that. I thought Novos was like the brain and like.
Is that CAP?
Exactly. Yeah. Connected automation platform. And the CAPstone.
I'm connecting dots today.
Right. Yeah. And then you think about what a CAPstone project is, like for university, right? It's a culmination or integration of knowledge. And that's really what we're trying to achieve here.
Okay. Yeah. So I think like get it. What I guess what is CAPstone? What does it do? Like that hasn't been done yet.
It's about extending your existing workspace, meeting you where you're actually working, and then extending that to the rig. So those drilling engineers are sitting in town working in these different platforms. You know, we have integrations with CAPstone, which is on the Max platform as well. And you know they get to keep using these familiar tools, but they're connected then to, let's say, NOVOS and their automation systems on the rig.
Right.
So with one touch, they can seamlessly push whatever their work they're doing, and if it gets translated into NOVOS and executed into NOVOS. And that gap has been there, and now we're trying to fill that gap.
Okay, I was never aware of that gap. That's really interesting. So now we have a solution to a problem that's been going on. For a while. Okay.
Can you talk a little bit about how it works in practice, or maybe some examples of what that looks like?
So CAPstone is essentially an API layer that sits between the cloud and the digital tools that are working in the office and the tools that are working at the rig site. So it's how we extend, the office to the rig. So instead of leaving a workflow, that API interface can translate all that data that's coming in from these planning platforms or logistics platforms to be able to intake it into the control system. So a good example I like to use is for NOVOS, for example, right? So, before CAPstone, updating a NOVOS configuration, for example, a drilling engineer would have to leave his workflow, go into another platform, the NOVOS cloud usually, find his rig, log in, find his rig, take an Excel file, update a whole bunch of information, which he kind of needs to be very adept at NOVOS to understand, what all these little pieces mean. Then send it through the cloud into a place called the NOVOS Access Portal. I see I've already lost you, right?
Yeah, I'm a little bit like,
yeah. And then the rig manager gets it,
right?
And then he has to review it, and then he pushes it then to the driller, and then the driller just accepts it. Right.
Okay.
So that's a lot of steps there,
right,
in order to achieve what should be a very seamless workflow. So what we're able to do today, which is wipe out all of that and just say, okay, you're already working here. We'll integrate to there, fill it out here, and done to the driller. That's it.
So
Easy.
the engineer could just, if it's like you were saying, is working on an Excel file, let's just say, could just drop that in.
Yeah.
And then it's completely integrated.
Or have it completely integrated into his UI in his interface, right?
Okay.
And that's where those integrations and those APIs come in. So have it integrated into their UI, without much effort at all.
That's great.
And another example, right? So TallyMaster is another kind of automation tool that we use at the rig site.
And real quick, it does what?
That's a tally pipe tally tracking system.
So it's tracking
assets from
pipe.
Straight from the catwalk around the fingerboards and then downhole, right?
Okay, gotcha.
So in order to get a tally loaded into the system, you either have to do it manually or you have to have a very specific Excel file that then gets loaded to the rig.
Right.
Then you have to adjust it because pipe gets strapped as soon as it gets off the boat, and they restrap it, remeasure it, make sure things are matching reality. And then there's no feedback on where is that pipe? For all those people, engineers who might be tracking asset life of that pipe.
Right.
How's it doing? They're blind to that.
Right.
CAPstone can be that bridge that says, okay, here's your tally. I'm going to load it directly, and TallyMaster is going to accept it. And then we're also going to feed back that data, because it's a bi-directional sync.
Right.
We're going to feed that data back to Max Tracker, our Max platform, and be able to then track the asset life of those different pieces of pipe.
That's cool. That's cool. This is kind of, you mentioned NOV, we're also guilty of doing all that, but I think that's just the way of progress. Yeah. I don't see that as being some big thing that we're particularly, guilty of, but it's we stepped out there with NOVOS, and we came up with a thing that was pretty incredible. You're going to find out ways that it doesn't work or ways that it could be better down the road. So I see this as just another great step of making automation fully become real.
Exactly. And sometimes we change the game with things like NOVOS, right? We establish things, and then it takes a little bit of time for the industry to catch up. It's okay, well, now we can start talking to each other now. We can start really integrating and doing some cool things. So.
Yeah. So that's
I'm glad you brought up the industry, because that was going to be kind of my next question was, if we're looking big picture, where is this leading? how does CAPstone position the industry more in the automation space?
Yeah. Again, CAPstone is that pathway to interoperability. I mentioned that word at the first, at the beginning, right? So where automation isn't really isolated to one rig, it's an extension of your digital ecosystem. So different service companies and other, providers can be able to connect into this, provide that input in the data that then is affecting the rig, and be able to feed that data back to then replan and re-advise.
Right.
These engineers are sitting there with a lot of data coming at them. And the more that we can simplify their jobs to easily intake that data, make informed decisions, and then have those decisions, whether they need to be affected at the rig site with our automation systems, be actually happen at the rig, and then get the feedback as to how that operation is going. Closing that loop, that planning to execution loop, is what this is trying to accomplish.
Yeah, which I feel like is ultimately that's what everyone wants, right?
That's the point.
Yeah, that's the whole thing, is to make it useful, to make that information.
And I think that's what I was meaning. Is that doesn't just happen with we came out with a new automation thing that fixes everything. Yeah. It's just that's part of the step of
it's part of the journey.
Yeah.
It's part of the journey. Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's cool.
Well, again, perfect leading question for me.
Really?
Yeah, their comment, yes, because what I was going to ask next
I did something right?
In that journey, I always one of the ending questions, what's next? What are we looking at next for CAPstone specifically?
So we're trying to expand our third-party application footprint. So that means working with a lot of these different companies and service providers that have some of this planning level execution that we can integrate with and be able to intake their expertise and knowledge into their workflows and have that be translated into Novos. We're also looking at other automation products. So I've mentioned Novos and TallyMaster. What about the fluid automation system? How can we intake mud recipes from third-party companies or cloud solutions and have that automatically be done through doors, for example, right? CAPstone is the perfect solution for that. And on Novos specifically, we want to expand, the functionality there. I've talked about configurations. What about well plans? Those depth-based limitations, how the well is going to be drilled. How do we intake that? And then how does that then get replanned in real time? So we need to feed data back to these systems, have an engineer be able to replan, and then automatically push that back to Novos, right? I mean, again, these engineers are flooded with data. How can we make that useful and then make the necessary changes?
Is this something that's real now, or are you in testing phase?
Yeah, we have active integrations now, and we have a roadmap of functionality that we're trying to come out with. So new versions of Novos will enhance the capabilities. New versions of TallyMaster are going to be added on top of.
So a drilling contractor, an operator that's watching this right now, and they're interested in this, this is something they can act upon today.
Just got off the phone with a major service company wanting to integrate their
boom, love it.
Their workflows into here. So
great. Well, that is really cool.
Yeah.
Congratulations to y'all and your team. Yeah.
I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Excited to watch the space, find out more.
Yeah.
Maybe we have y'all back on when as we see that roadmap.
I'd be happy. I'd be happy to be.
I just want to see that button. It just says automate. You just push it, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, we're almost there, so. Yeah.
True. Great. Yeah, I guess it's not that far off.
We're not that far off.
Well, awesome. Right. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks, Brandt.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.